Well, welcome back everyone to Along the Road, and here we are in Kingston, New Hampshire, enjoying this beautiful day. I'm Pastor Josh at the First Congregational Church in Kingston.
And I'm Katy, the Children's Discipleship Director here.
And every week we love to come together and just talk about our faith and how it intersects with life, and we've been talking about a lot of different things, but today we have a guest.
Yay!
Yay! If you don't know, and if you're not part of our church, you probably don't know, this is Judy Hunter. Judy Hunter is our pianist, our organist, and last week we celebrated her 65th anniversary of playing here at this church. Now, someone else discovered that for me and let me know that that was coming, and so you get the first celebration, and next year the church gets the 300-year celebration, so we're right on it. But Judy is, I believe, a wonderful example of not just a musician, but a good, faithful servant of God. One of the themes that we always have in our staff is being flexible. Judy is very flexible. Judy is always available to things, willing to learn new things, and just has a great servant heart. So I thought we could learn from Judy a little bit, learn of her, because I don't know a lot of your story or parts of your story, and also where you're at now. So how all this intersects. So Judy, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. I have some curiosity questions. One of the things we've been talking about is the recent communion that Mark did in our church, and he talked about we remember. I remember before Christ, and I remember what Christ has done for me, and then I think of these things. And it's going to become a theme in our future communions for different people sharing. And so, in that same thought, Judy Hunter, what do you remember before Christ or in your coming to know Christ as Savior? I don't know if you went to church as a kid, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but at some point, Christ became your personal Savior, someone that you had a relationship with. So give me a little bit of that journey or what that was like.
Started going to Sunday school when I was 5, the little East Kingston church, which is Methodist.
Okay.
And my mom led the choir down there. And so the message was that you will get up and go to church on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Regardless as a teenager as to what you were doing the night before.
Right.
So that was a good training.
Yeah.
But I came here when I was 16, and although I had been in church for years, I did not understand the concept of being saved.
Yeah.
And so along the road, it just occurred to me, that's what they're talking about. I'm going to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And through all the ups and downs of my 65 years here, I have felt the Lord's hand on my shoulder, just telling me that I would persevere, and I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I can't imagine doing anything else different.
That's wonderful. I love the part of your story, because I think a lot of people think, oh, I don't have a sordid past. I don't have this thing where I was a gang runner, or I did these other things and I cheated on this. And so my testimony doesn't mean much, but yours is beautiful in the sense that, like, you could have just kept doing the religious thing. That's what we tend to call it here, the religious thing, and not really even know that Christ was your Savior and that there's a relationship to be had with Him. And in that story, you said it with, I think, with good preaching or something, it came in. You realized that motion in what they did. So your mom led the choir. You were 5. So when did you start playing piano?
I had taken 10 years of piano lessons, so I was second grade.
In second grade?
Yeah.
And so when you started here, you were playing, did you play just the piano, or did you play the organ as well?
I started with the organ.
You started with the
organ was the main instrument at that time.
Right.
Sure. And my piano teacher wanted to retire from playing this organ. So she said, give it a try.
Ah, so it's the person who taught you to play the piano that got you into
Gave me
organ.
3 organ lessons.
3?
Yeah, and then she retired.
Okay, that's a good one. So with 3 organ lessons, obviously, and I think this counts for anybody that's listening, musically you took piano for a long time, but organ's not the same. It is different, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand that You have to be more careful when you play your organ notes. Plus, you have more than one keyboard.
2.
Plus, well, you have 2. Some people have more. And
That's
then
right.
you have your feet.
That's another whole story.
That's a whole other thing to do. And you, with 3 lessons, nobody's ready for that. Nobody's ready.
But you were in the balcony. So you didn't feel quite so conspicuous.
Yeah,
Things didn't go
went
well.
up there, you looked at things. But I think that's a testament, and that's what I want people to hear, is that you weren't ready. You hadn't been proficient in organ, but you knew that this was a place you could fill, and you could work on the skill and do that. And not just that your teacher wanted to retire, but it's like the Lord was moving you in that direction.
Absolutely.
Even though you weren't ready.
Oh.
And did you ever feel ready at some point? And how many years before that happened?
Well, things change constantly.
Oh, really?
And I had directors for the choir, and sometimes I didn't have directors for the choir.
Yeah.
So once we did the Hallelujah chorus downstairs with a piano with just me playing,
Wow.
because they got so accustomed to watching my head move.
Yeah.
So it's been a challenge. I've had some wonderful directors, and there were periods where we didn't have anyone.
So it's, you've been in the life of this church, this particular church. You've seen the roller coaster or the ups and downs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You've seen. I've been told that this church went through a period where it was more like just a country club of the town, and so people came here maybe with that same thought that you had when you were younger. This is just the thing. This is a religious thing,
Right.
and you've seen a transformation from that.
So,
I believe, Pastor Thomas, I believe, is part of that transformation.
Yeah, it's very, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what he did, correct me if I'm wrong, is mainly said, here's the Bible, and we're going to preach the Bible. And so what changed people was the Word of God.
Right.
Yeah. And so my question to you then, okay, so that's where you came from there. But when we're sitting in community, you see what Christ has done. Your life is more than just sitting for 65 years playing the piano.
Absolutely.
So where else outside the church have you seen God move in your life?
I think the way that I feel about people in general, I think it makes you a kinder person. If you're standing in a line at the supermarket and you can let somebody go before you that's got a couple things, just simple things. I don't get upset about small things.
Yeah, I have noticed that. I have.
That's very useful.
It is
Judy.
very
I
useful.
see no point in it.
Yeah.
You just have to move on.
Yeah. And so in this life you have your mom as well. And you're a grandma. Are you a great grandma? And you're a great grandma. So what about in the family life? In that, how did you balance those things or try and share with your family this relationship?
Well, I think they understand exactly what this church has meant to me in how it influences everything I do.
Yeah.
And because this is a priority, they work around it when we plan family gatherings.
There we
They
go.
know this has got to come first.
Yeah.
And they honor it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And now you get to spend time with, I know you're taking care of some grandchildren, great grandchildren. He's like 1 or 2 and
He is 18 months.
18
Ooh,
months, and you get to run around and do that, but also you get to leave him and go
Send him
home, and you can go rest, and you can both go to nap time. And,
We go to his house.
oh, wonderful.
My sister.
Yeah. Takes 2 to watch 1.
Absolutely. We're elderly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, speaking, you brought it up. You said you're elderly. I would never say that, Judy, that you're elderly. Something I'm curious about. People, when they're young, you play the piano, but you did other things. You're a mom, you with the family, and all these types of things. But life changes. You've said, you can take care of your great-grandchild. You can't move as fast. You do this as much. Like, how do you, other than the piano, how do you feel like in the church or in the life, the spiritual life, that you still maintain that God is using me? When you're young, I think, well, I'm doing things, and now you're saying I can't do as much.
Right.
So what is the doing or something that you say, well, this is something that that I know God still uses me in.
I feel like He will let me know
Yeah.
when I can't do it to the level that I want to present.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, I will just gracefully leave the bench and go sing with the choir.
There you go.
There you go.
She's got a retirement
That
plan.
is true. That is true.
I can't imagine, not being here, not being a part of the ministry.
So the ministry in the church is such that it is, and I think that's how church should become if we're family. It is part of your family.
Absolutely.
And who you are. And you've seen people come and go from this family and for all types of reasons, good reasons, bad reasons, moving, all types of things like that. So when it comes to music, why keep playing? Like I remember I took piano, like you. I did a couple organ lessons. Never sat down to play an organ in front of anybody. Not gonna happen. But music for me is enjoyable and different things. But I didn't want to put in all of that time and keep doing all that. And, when I tried to do it in college, it was like it was too much for me, and it wasn't bringing me the focus I needed or the joy that I need. Whatever you want to put in there. So what keeps you still playing, or even then? I'm guessing there's times where you're like, do I give this up?
Yeah, that occurs, but the choir is like my extended family. And so many people in the church are like extended family. You get to know them, and doing the special music, you get to know people you would not probably otherwise have the opportunity to spend time with.
Yeah.
And you get to know their life stories and how they're coping and their problems, and it's precious to me.
Yeah, so you see music as a way to relate to people.
Yeah.
And like you said, you know their life stories and their problems, but people wouldn't share that if you weren't there struggling through, let's get through this section that's not working, and you kind of sharing this learning curve of the piece that you're learning, maybe in special music, especially because there's only 2 or 3 of you, but it allows you to connect people.
It does.
And opens doors. So what music have you, outside of the church, what music have you listened to on your own?
I actually like blues.
Yeah? Who's your favorite blues?
I kind of like Chris Stapleton. He does a little of everything.
Yes.
B.B. King, I heard him on the way.
Yeah.
I like all kinds of music.
Right.
I was
That's
brought
not
up on
surprising.
formal music.
You were brought up on formal, maybe classical
Bach,
music.
Beethoven, and Brahms.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Me too.
Yeah.
And so, but you like the jazz, you like the blues.
I
So
do.
Miles Davis is always nice to
Oh,
play.
yes.
And so I think that's important, that sometimes people think of someone like a Judy and they're like, oh, all they ever do is think church music and do church music. And I think all of music points to who God is. Even their words may not, but the music and the way it comes together. What is it about music that you really enjoy the most?
It touches my soul. It reaches deep down. On a bad day, I can put on some music in my vehicle, and just in the course of one song, I can feel 100% better.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like God speaks to me through the music,
Yeah.
that He keeps me grounded through the music,
Yeah.
that it gives me so much joy that the little things don't bother me.
Yeah.
It's like it changes your perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel blessed because He gave me this gift. Now, how long I'll be able to use it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll do something else with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, music, I believe, for me, always had the ability to express or to touch emotions that I'm not used to thinking of myself. Maybe more because I'm a male, we tend to block them out anyway. We don't like to deal with emotions, put them in a box over here. But when you have music, when you have that, and you have a really tough time, sometimes sitting at the piano, playing in some minor keys always feels nice. And it pulls out that emotion.
Absolutely.
And then when you start feeling better, at least I have done that, I just switch to a major key. and the brightness comes, and it's like you said, it's that there is some depth and emotion in all types of music that is touched there, and I think God built it that way for us. And it can be even without words. It doesn't have to have words.
That's right.
and so there's this piece to it that moves us along, and you've used it obviously not just here but for all of your life and through difficult times and struggles and stuff like that. So I know sometimes life is hard and different things. So what would you give as advice to somebody, a young person, maybe middle-aged person, and they are either going through a hard time or they're in a place where they're struggling with family or stuff, and they know it's going to be a difficult road for a while. What would you say to them? What type of advice would you give?
I would say stay as close to the Lord as you can. I mean, if it's as simple as reading the daily bread and having some prayer time, if you start the day that way, it's going to reflect in the whole day.
Yeah.
And how you treat people, how you relate to people, you can't go wrong.
Okay, that's very good.
So I have a question. If you started playing the organ at 16, did you also take over the choir at 16, or did you work your way into that?
It was just a question of need.
Ah.
We would have directors and we would not have directors. So when we didn't have one, it was me.
You just direct from the piano or the organ.
Yeah, you wave your head and you do the best you can. Yeah.
I think my mom told me she played piano for a while because her dad was a pastor, church planner, Hispanic church planner. She didn't take very many lessons, but there was nobody there, and she's the oldest child, so she had to sit down and play the hymns and do that. So it was out of necessity.
Yep.
We need this. You're the
You're elected.
You're my daughter. You're the oldest one. Get up there and play. And so I also noticed this, and this just popped in my head. In our church, you play hymns, you play on the organ, you play on the piano, you play very well. I know sometimes you're like, I'll know when the time is done, but your speed hasn't slowed down, so we're all good there. That's a very important key. But also, I've in the last year 4 other people that have either played the organ or the piano, or they'll play with you, or they'll just play and you just take a day off, and there's nothing that I sense from you that's like, oh no, that's mine, let me have that. But you're so sharing of that, and that's not always as common, especially where someone's been doing it for such a long time in the same place. So where does that come from?
I just think that it's a shared ministry. And you want to bring other people along to share.
Yeah.
And it's a camaraderie. Why should it be owned by one person?
Right. So when we say to people, you don't own the church, this church isn't your church, you live that. This is all of ours, and if someone comes in and says, hey, I can play too, go ahead.
We want to encourage that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's a wonderful gift to have. I think a lot of people could learn from that in a lot of ways, because we like to hold on to that thing that we're known for, that we've done a long time.
It's our identity.
It's our identity, and someone else is going to play. What if they play better? What if they play different? What if they
like them better?
What if they like them? And I never see that in you, And we've even had some new people that are recently come to the church, and they play for the choir, or they have done different things, and it's not. I don't want to say you're gracious about it, because that almost means like you wish they would have been gracious about it. You were just free about it, and I think we could all learn from that perspective. I love the word you said is you recognize, and maybe we could do this in all our ministries. This is a shared ministry.
Absolutely.
Now I tell you right now, the choir all knows Judy rules. Like you own, like I get that perspective from the group. But your perspective is this is a shared ministry.
Absolutely. I am so excited to have Sue.
Yeah, our current director.
Current director is wonderful and gracious and fun and teaches us something every single week.
Yeah.
You cannot let them breathe. That's the whole. You have to keep them focused for an hour and a half.
Busy.
Yeah, I'd like to get Sue in here too, because
she's
she's a great choir director, but she spent many years teaching music to elementary school children.
So that prepared her
for our choir. It got her ready for it. Well, I have seen our and they're fun. But I love our choir. I love what you and what Sue do, and Pastor Thomas and I have said before, this is the best little choir in New England, and they're a lot of fun. If you're online, you can go look at our services. Anyone that says, actually, the one from this past weekend, the all church service, the choir started it, so you could watch the very beginning of the service, and the choir started that. But they're at the 10:45 service throughout what I call the school year. They take a couple months off in the summer, which I think is always good to have a break.
It is.
It's good to have a break. So, yeah, I'm just glad to hear your story, to learn about some of those things. I'm glad you're with us for 65 years, and I hope there'll be many more. At my last church, when the pianist stepped down, I think she was 98. So you got time.
Oh, that's quite a great goal, isn't it?
There you go.
You've got time. You've got time. And I'd love to keep you as all that time, not because you play, but because of the very attitude you bring to it, the sharing of the ministry, that we're on a team together. And I've sat next to you before down there, and I say down there because it's off the stage, you really see this as part of the ministry we have, and that you're part of this team. I mean, you come to our staff meetings, and you participate in them, and you share about thoughts and ideas that are not dealing with music because we're part of a team, right? It's a shared ministry. So I love that. Do you have any more thoughts, questions?
Did you ever teach piano lessons?
Never. No desire to do that.
No patience for those kids?
That's right.
It's a different
whole
avenue.
different,
Yes.
talent, and you have to be educated for that.
Yeah.
You've got to go to school to learn how to do that. And,
Yeah.
I just wasn't in a position to do that. It was not something I ever aspired to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then my other question is, have you seen the style of music change over your 65 years?
Absolutely.
Was it hard to change?
I don't have a big problem with change. I like to learn new things.
Mhm.
I like to enjoy new things. And I tell Ruthie that I do think some of the contemporary music has 2 or 3 choruses too many. But I also know that the hymns, sometimes there are 5 verses. So we meet in the middle.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, and you are okay with that change.
Yeah.
And do you think, let me back up on that. I'm guessing that as those changes have occurred over time, not everybody around you has been okay with that change.
Right.
So how do you approach that? Is it, because I never see you telling people what to think. That's not your style. It's not how. But yet, people are always wondering what Judy thinks about these things, and I see them just. I think, correct me if I'm wrong. It's almost like they see your attitude about it. And do you feel like that actually helps people?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Because there's room for all of this right here, and we've seen to it that there is room.
There is room, and there's beauty in all types of music.
There is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll continue.
You're a lifelong learner.
Well, if you're not open to new things, you're not with it. You're not.
You stagnate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want that.
No.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that, Judy. I think that's an attitude we can all carry.
Yes.
That is for sure.
We learn from every new thing that comes along, and if we shut it off, we're shutting off vital new interests, and you don't have that opportunity to move on in your musical life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Always learning. That's an artist view for sure. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you being with us, sharing with us, tolerating the openness of I didn't tell you what we were going to ask or talk about.
Or even invite
Or
you.
even invite, just come up and let's
go.
record today. And you said I'm here. It points a lot to your character and who you are. But I do think, if we can all take that on, if at home you take that on, that you share whatever ministry or whatever church you're at, it's not yours. It belongs to Christ, and you're sharing in that ministry with those people, whether you're in the children's ministry or in the elders or in the choir or the piano, whatever it is, you're sharing in that ministry, and that attitude will take you a long way. And the other part is that we always have more to learn.
Absolutely.
And you live that out. So I really appreciate that, and I thank you for that. I'm just glad you're with us today.
Thank you.
And I encourage anyone, you want to drop a comment to Judy or just send her a note, you're welcome to do that in her comments. And until then, I hope you have a good week.
Take care.
Bye now.